Hi everyone, thank you for joining the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Teddy Atlas III, joined by Boxing Hall of Famer and legend, my main man, my father, Teddy Atlas. How you doing, bud?
My man.
My man.
How you doing, bud? It's first of all, it's good to see you. It's always good to see you. I wish you were here instead of Las Vegas, but it's great to see you and all the people out there. I see you all. Be careful, because I see everything you do. And we have magic here. Richie and Ben make sure that I have an eye into everybody's portal there, living room, so I can see you all. I see what you're thinking. Everything. Be good. Listen, all seriousness, I hope yesterday was Mother's Day. I hope all the moms out there had a great Mother's Day. I know we did. I know you did. I wish we could have been together, but we celebrated at Nicole, your sister's house. We were all over there with the kids, all the grandkids, everybody. As you can see, I got a little red sitting outside. It was nice. Vegas is not the only place that has sun. We have sun on the East Coast too. Sometimes it's starting to become springtime, getting towards summer. And it was a nice day, beautiful day. Probably sat outside a little too much with this fair skin that I have that has not been acclimated to the sun yet. But it was a nice day. It was a beautiful day to be with family. And again, I hope all the moms out there had a great Mother's Day, because without you, we wouldn't be here. It's that simple. We wouldn't be here. So mothers can never get enough recognition. I always say fighters can never make too much money. They go in the ring. They risk everything. Let them make what they can, whatever they can make. And I say moms can never, ever, ever get too much recognition or too much love for everything they do. So let's talk boxing.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump right into it. Saturday, we're going to start off across the pond in the UK. We had a clash, 130-pounders. Anthony Cacace versus Lee Wood. Now, we watched Anthony Cacace win the belt, the IBF title, 130-pound belt, in Saudi Arabia versus Joe Cordina. Since then, he defended it versus Josh Warrington, and then he vacated the belt in order to set up bigger money fights across the pond. With this being against Lee Wood, the former two-time featherweight champion of the world. Wood now 36 years old, as Cacace is, but going in two completely different directions in their career. Long layoff for Wood coming into this one. Hadn't fought in almost 2 years, where Cacace's been fighting. Obviously, like we said, just won the title recently. I thought Wood, he's like the Toro Gatti of the UK, right? But, all heart, all guts. He's made so many great fights there. Just diminished now at this point of his career. Plus, again, with the inactivity. Cacace was the sharper guy. Thought he controlled the fight. And then winds up getting the stoppage in the 9th round. Ben Davidson throws in the towel. Cacace gets the win. He defends his IBO 130-pound belt. What'd you think of this one?
Yeah, it was the compassionate, proper thing to do by a trainer in Ben Davidson. Look, you hit it all on the nail, bud. You laid it all out there. Wood has a lot of miles on his odometer. He's been in a lot of tough fights. It's not just the amount of fights you're in. It's what kind of fights. Mayweather was in a lot of fights, but, defensive-minded and, being a great elusive fighter that he was, it didn't impact him the way it would impact somebody who's been in a lot of tough fights, who takes punishment to win fights. And that was Wood. And Wood always would give everything he had, to the fans, to the sport. He put it all out there. Fan favorite. Every time you see a Wood fight, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get all out heart. And you're gonna get a TV friendly fight. You're gonna get a fun fight. You're gonna get what most fans want to see. And again, for as long as it lasted, it became one-sided. But Wood was giving it his all, as he always does. And Cacace, listen, he is really the epitome of that saying, getting better like a wine. Like an old wine. That's him. He's at the best place in his career, and he's 36. We watched him, as you said, we watched him win the title a year or so ago against Cordina in Saudi. And this is a guy that he's a great story for fighters out there that don't make it right away. Keep getting better. Keep working at your trade. Don't give up. Learn your lessons along the way. Your journey might be the journey like a Cacace that is going to go on a longer road, not a shorter path. You're not the Olympic guy with the quick twitch, talents. You're not the Olympic guy that, is going to be moved, in the same kind of quick way like that. You're a guy who you're going to learn along the way, and you pick up a loss, and that loss is going to be a win because it's going to teach you and give you the things you need to win later, to know where you want to go, to make up your mind, to maybe make adjustments, maybe to be a little more committed in your career. The great Frank Warren, and he's great. He's one of the great promoters of all time. And he's the big guy over there with Eddie Hearn. He told me in Saudi, he said, this kid didn't always, put it this way. He made a change in his life to commit himself to boxing in a better way, to living better. All right, I'll just leave it at that. To being more serious with everything, with his physical training, his diet, with everything. And Frank Warren told me, and if anyone knows, it's a guy who's been around boxing forever. He said, once he did that, it changed everything. And now, that was before the fight with Cordina. And he told me, he said he's going to win this fight. He said he'll win it because now he's serious. He's more committed to the sport in a way that you need to be. And maybe that took him 35 years to get there. Whatever it is, the lesson I'm saying out there to all of you who love George Foreman, and I love George Foreman. Up in heaven now, hopefully, and I'm sure he is, looking down on all of us saying, get a grill. Get a grill. Get a grill. It even squeezes out the fat. Get a grill. And for the people that think you have to do it at a certain age, a preordained age that is, kind of marked into our minds, that you got to do it in your 20, or whatever it is. No. You just got to do it. You just got to stick to it, and whatever your journey is meant to be, you'll get there. But stick to it and learn and make those adjustments along the way. And don't give up. So he's a great story that way, Cacace. He really is. He looks better than ever. I mean, he won this fight. Yeah, he's fresher than Wood. He's taking less punishment. But he won the fight because he's so well-rounded. This is the perfect example of what I talk about all the time, where you don't have to have neon talent. There's not one talent that you could say with Cacace, oh my God, he's the fastest I ever saw. He's the most explosive I ever saw. He's only got, 9 KOs. There's not one area where you're going to point to that. But there's not one area you're going to point to that's weak, that he can't do. He counterpunches. He fights with you. He uses the ring. He uses his jab. His defense is good. I mean, he's become this is a solid pro that can fit in now with anybody because of that, and mostly because of the mind on top of it, the cement that keeps all the pieces in place, the mind. He is a guy now that knows what it took to get there and what it's going to take to stay there. I just wanted to say that in that kind of way. And again, when Wood tried to fight with him, because Wood, he's got to fight on the inside to win a fight. He wasn't going to win it on the outside with him. And when he did, Wood was giving his best in those areas, that geography, but Cacace beat him there. So then there was no chance, because Cacace then was going to beat him on the outside too, and lay traps and counter and be able to do the things we talk about in the sweet science. I'll give Wood, before I finish, I'll finish with this. I want to give Wood and Ben Davison credit. They came prepared to have to put their best foot forward at the point they were in their career now, physically and mentally. He used the jab. I was very impressed. You're going to press a guy? You're going to come forward. You're going to be aggressive. Do it with a jab. We see too many guys don't do it with a jab. They just walk in, they get picked off. He did it. Wood came prepared to use his jab and to press with his jab. And he did. It's just that this guy Cacace was better in all departments. That's all. Done. Let's move on, buddy, because you know what? I want to listen to you. I want to follow you. And we get going. Let's go.
Talking about the great promoter, Frank Warren, I saw a video after the fight. Believe it or not, Lee Wood, up on the scorecards, one of the judges had him ahead at the time of the stoppage. And Frank was just saying what we've said and you've said many, many times in many years now. It just can't happen. It's not acceptable. It didn't come into play in this case, but it may in the next fight for somebody else. So
no, what you got to do is, listen, what you got to do there, bud, really, in the old days in vaudeville, the old days in the United States when they had the guys on Broadway, you heard about this, probably Rich too. They had all the acts on Broadway. They called it vaudeville. They go traveling, like fighters that in the old days would travel town to town to get fights, to get better. These people, these entertainers, these Broadway actors and entertainers and dancers, they used to go out on stage in all different towns across the country. They get on the train, go town to town. And it was during the time they called vaudeville. And when one act was bad, they would take a hook and pull the guy off the stage. You know, it was just old-fashioned fooling around. But they take just kind of a hook, you know, and just grab him, pull him off. That's the, you got to put that hook around the refs or the judges. You got to pull them off. You just got to get them. And so right there that night, you got to have a hook. And you just got to loop it around the guy and just pull him off. And just get him off. Get him out of there, right? And let him go somewhere else. But never to be seen in a boxing venue with a pencil and pad in front of him again. If he wants to buy a ticket to a fight, give him 2 years suspension that he can't come to a fight for the damage that he was doing or trying to do. And then after 2 years, let him buy a ticket to a fight, upper tier, not too close to the ring. You don't want him too close. Upper tier, let him buy a ticket and let him watch a fight. That's what you got to do. I'm tired of going nuts and screaming and doing tirades and everything else. I'm tired of it. And I don't want to do that no more. Frank's 100% right. But like Frank, I've been saying this for 40 years, 35 years. And boxing is its own worst enemy. Like the great Bert Sugar said, boxing just gives itself so many black eyes. It's the Cyclops. There's no more eyes to blacken. I mean, could you imagine if that came into play in that fight where Cacace was doing what I just laid out, doing every facet of the game, every facet of the sweet science, out fighting him on the inside, on the outside, counter punching, moving to this, everything. And then you're going to hear Wood. I mean, Wood wouldn't want to even hear Wood because he's an honest fighter. He wouldn't even want to hear it.
No, I'm with you. Absolutely. And you might need a bigger hook. You might need several hooks because there's too many of them out there. But can't happen, shouldn't happen. But the right guy obviously got the win, so it doesn't come to the light this time around. We will keep it moving. We're going to move on, staying with the boxing action from this weekend. From the UK to the West Coast in the US, San Diego. This was on ESPN. Before we get to the main event, I'm going to touch on the co-main event. We had Raymond Muratalla versus Zaire Abdullaev. This was for the 135-pound interim IBF belt. This is a title that Vasily Lomachenko is the full champion at the weight class, but because of inactivity right now with Lomachenko, we don't know if he will be fighting again or not. The belt became vacant for the interim belt. And Muratalla, trained by the great trainer Robert Garcia, he winds up getting the win in the end by unanimous decision. I thought he's very, very composed, very poised fighter. I just don't know now. For me, does he have that trait in one area to hang his hat on, like you were just saying in the previous fights? I didn't know if he was special in one particular area. I wanted to see a little more something jump out. But in the end, he was in complete control, gets the win, gets the interim belt. There's a lot of talent there at that 135 division. What'd you think of his performance? What'd you think of him overall?
I like him. I think he's a work in progress. He's 28 years old. He's 23-0. He's got an interim title now. And I don't think, the book is closed on him yet. I think that he's going to keep getting better with Robert Garcia and with experience and winning this title, even though it's an interim title. The old timers always told me, Cuss always told me, winning a title makes you 30% better. So I'm waiting I'm going to watch to see that kick in. That's confidence. That is the glue that makes all the parts work better, stick together better. That is what you're describing, maybe. That little something extra, that 30%, that may be just what the doctor ordered. If that turns out that way, that might be just what you see missing. That 30%, that confidence, that just doing things at maybe a little more sustained level. I thought there was parts where he could have done a little more. But then again, it's hard to knock him because he did what he had to do. He didn't get careless. He didn't get reckless. So it's hard to knock that. I thought at the end of the day, he was the sharper guy. He was just a sharper guy. I think the training of Robert Garcia probably shows there a little bit, but I also think the talent of Muratalla was just a little keener, a little faster. He was just a little quicker. Again, I'll use the word again. I'll go back to it. A little sharper. I like that he found an uppercut that worked for him, and then he stuck to it. And that won rounds for him. Like if there was a close round, that one uppercut, bop, the head went up. Okay, there's no doubt he's getting around. Okay, he's in. All right, he's in. No more close round. That separated him. That's smart. That's good. That's smart. Abdullaev is just a good, steady guy. Not quite as quick. Not quite a little too one-dimensional, maybe. Abdullaev, pretty much. What you see is what you get. Pretty much by the numbers. Coloring by the numbers, but the numbers don't go too high. 1, 2, and not knocking them, but, jab, very conventional, very, very standard conventional guy coming at you with the jab right hand. And Muratalla was more creative with his offense, sharper, a little bit more talented. Because if you're a little faster, that means you're a little more talented in that area. So at the end of the day, Abdullaev still fits in. He's becoming a gatekeeper because his other loss was to a pretty damn good guy named Devin Haney. At least a guy who was pretty good. We don't know if he's going to get back to that and if he's ever going to exercise the ghost of the Ryan Garcia fight. That's for another. You want to hear more about that? Go back a week and listen to our podcast from a week ago, and you could get more on that, ladies and gentlemen. But that's enough on this fight, bud. I'm moving forward. I'm Joe Pesci today again. Done with this witness. Let's go. Finish. I like him. I think, to your point, I think Muratalla, let's see if he gets 30% better. Could he have done a little bit more? Yeah, no argument from Teddy Atlas over here, this one. But at the same time, he did what he had to do to win that interim title, and he showed something to follow, to build on.
Yeah, no question. And another world champion in the stable for Robert Garcia. So we will see what's next for him moving forward. Before we move forward to the main event, I just want to take a quick pause, give a thank you to today's sponsor, Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens introduces the new AG1 Next Gen. It now includes 5 clinically studied probiotic strains shown to support digestive and immune health with added vitamins and minerals. They've also now have new travel pack designs resulting in a much easier pour to improve the customer experience. So whether you guys are looking to boost your energy levels, support your immune system, or address gut health, Athletic Greens is the way to go. Simply visit athleticgreens.com/atlas to claim your special offer of 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. All right, so with that being said, we're going to get into the main event, bud. From San Diego on ESPN, we had Emmanuel Navarrete versus Charlie Suarez. This was for the 130-pound belt that Navarrete holds. Navarrete has fought at 135, but backed down to 130, defending his title there. Now, he struggled to make weight coming into this one. Took him multiple attempts to get on the scale. He made it. He was relieved, and he jumped off that scale quick. In the end...
Yeah, real quick.
Very quick. This fight, they didn't waste any time. From the opening bell, these guys were going at it. There was no backing up. Really, really good action. Navarrete was getting the best of it, especially early on. He buckled Suarez in the first round. Suarez started having some success of his own and made this a very interesting, close fight. And it wouldn't be boxing without some controversy. In the sixth round, Navarrete suffers a brutal head cut above his left eye. Looked like a punch, right? The commentators were back and forth, confusing me on television. Was it a headbutt? Was it a punch? In the end, it was ruled an accidental headbutt. Because of that, the fight goes to the scorecards, and in the end, Navarrete retains his belt and wins the decision. If it was ruled a punch, which I thought it was, and the replays showed, different result. If Navarrete couldn't continue, he would lose his belt. I guess before we get into the fight and the breakdown, was it a punch? Was it a headbutt? And what'd you think of this fight overall?
Beautifully laid out there, bud. Thank you. You put it right on my plate, right here, ready to go. And all I can tell you is, what is the sense of having instant replay if it's not used properly?
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
It was a punch. Look at it 452 times. I can't look at it no more. I'm getting cataracts from how many times they were looking at this damn thing. Look at it and see. See what it is. Have the gumption to go out there and say, yeah, you know what? After look at it 452 times, yeah, it was a punch. It was a punch. And if you made a mistake with the people that say, oh, we can't change, it's change it. You made a mistake, you look at it again, it's a punch. Change it. You're changing someone's life. It was put there. It was put there to get things right. Get it right. It was put there to make sure that somebody didn't suffer more than just getting stitches. He's going to get stitches. Yeah, those stitches will heal. They will get better. All right? The cut will heal. But what will not get better is that loss. He should have a title now, technically. It was a close fight. I thought Navarrete was ahead. But if you're going to go by the rules, he should have a title. Aren't we supposed to go by the rules? Aren't we supposed to live by rules? Otherwise, why do we have rules if we don't abide by them? He should be the champion. And what I say is, when I use that, and I go down that road and use that analogy that, the cut will heal, but they're leaving other things that are open wounds. What won't get a chance to heal or to happen is that he won't now start getting better as a champion, as just feeling what it feels like being a champion. What we talked about in the last fight, what the old timers said about getting 30% better. That process should be starting now with Suarez. That should be starting now. And who knows where that would take him to the next time he fights. That might take him to just being that much of a different person, a different fighter. A fighter that wouldn't start as slow as he started in this fight. Maybe a fighter that just that extra 30% confidence, he starts a little faster. He's a little bit more sure of himself. And they took that away from him. They took the possibility of that happening away. Listen, I'm sure he's going to get a rematch, or I'm sure they're going to work on getting a rematch, and he'll get another shot. He deserves another shot. He's 18-1 now. But he's also 36 years old. Navarrete is 30 years old. That's 6-year difference. Suarez shouldn't, he shouldn't have to wait on anything. At this age, if he got it, give it to him. And now at 36 years old, he's got to wait. He's got to wait for the cut to heal. He's got to wait to see what decision is made for his next fight. Instead of, like I said, already the process starting that, hey, I'm a champion. I'm a champion. So as far as the fight, I thought Navarrete came out hard and heavy and as the bigger, stronger guy. He was the bigger, stronger guy. You can see. And he was imposing that advantage onto Suarez and catching him a little bit by surprise. Suarez never being in this kind of fight. Navarrete's got 43 fights now. Suarez, this was his 19th fight. So Navarrete, whether it was because he was desperate, because he knew that he didn't have a full tank because of the way he made weight, or whether it was just because he understood that's his style, that's his way. He's an aggressive guy, Navarrete. He's a guy that's fun to watch, and he's a guy that likes to get knockouts, and he's a guy who understood this guy, again, has never been on this stage. Let me jump on him. Let me catch him coming out of the gate. Let me not even let him get out of the gate. That might have been a strategy. It seemed to be a strategy. And it might not have been attached to whether or not he had trouble making weight. Bottom line is, bigger, stronger. He attacked Suarez. He had him hurt. He buzzed him early on. He imposed his physicality onto him. And he used his awkward cleverness. Yeah, I used those two words together, awkward and clever. He's got an awkward cleverness to him that you can knock him all you want for all the mistakes. I heard them all saying, oh my God, he makes so many mistakes. They work for him. So are they really mistakes? They work for him. Because one minute he's going back with the wrong foot, he's going back this way, and then you come after him, and then he's coming forward, and then he's going back, and then he counterpunches, then he's aggressive. Yeah. There's holes in his defense and his technique. No kidding. Really, Captain Obvious? Yeah. We don't need to bring back Ray Arcel and Eddie Fudge, and all those great trainers, Angelo Dundee. We don't need to bring them back to tell us that. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of flaws. A lot of times, sometimes you throw from too far away, you can time them. Sometimes it goes straight back. You could go with them. All of that. But he's awkwardly clever. What he really does is he gets control of something that no one else talks about. The theme, the rhythm of the fight. Or if they do, they don't talk about it a lot. Where he gets the rhythm, and the theme of the fight. He gets the flow of the fight going. Where it's crazy, it's chaotic, but it's his chaos. It's his rhythm. It ain't your rhythm. It ain't your music. It's not even your grandfather's music. It's his music. Latino, little salsa, little bombs, whatever it is. But it's his music. And to beat him, you got to interrupt his music. You got to throw off his timing. You got to fit into those little slots there with those mistakes I just talked about. And that's when Suarez got back in the fight. He started to interrupt the music. He started to get his own tune going. He started to get into those little slots where you can get in there of mistakes. You know what he started doing, Bud? And I'm surprised it wasn't much mentioned. He started timing Navarrete beautifully. Just with timed punches. He's not as big, he's not quite as strong as Navarrete, but he's got a solid, his strength, Suarez, he's technically the opposite of Navarrete. He's technically solid. He does things supposedly the right way. The boxing 101 way. The way that makes us feel better. That it's the way that we were taught that it should be done. Straight punches, legs under you, not all over the place like a spider, legs under you, come forward behind the jab, throw punches straight, not round. He does things by the Boxing 101 book. His technique is solid. And that got him back in the fight. And his eyes, his timing. He started timing Navarrete as Navarrete would throw. Bang! He threw a right hand in between. Little bit of the fatness of Navarrete's punch. Little bit of the width of Navarrete. He punched in between. And then Navarrete goes back. He went with him in spots. Navarrete really is the kind of guy, you know what, that old saying, I catch him coming, I catch him going. That's what you got to do. You got to catch him coming, you got to catch him going. Because once he controls the rhythm, he's going to have you don't even know if you're going or coming. You don't even know. You're like, you have to go back to the corner and say, can you give me an idea what the hell's going on over here? Because this guy's over here, he's over there. Can you let me know? Can you give me a compass? Cuss love compasses. He used to tell me he could read a compass. Get out of the woods with a compass. West, east, south, north. You don't know which way he's going. But with his good, solid technique, I give credit to Suarez. He started to figure it out. He started to slow down the chaos. He started to change the music and interrupt his music. And he did a really good job. I thought he was still a little behind because the biggest shots were landed early. I thought he was still a little behind when the stoppage and they went to the cards. So I think they got that part right. But technically, right now, we should be talking about Anu because that was a punch. And I would just ask the boxing geniuses out there, I would the boxing geniuses out there that run all these in their states. If you do have replay, please use it properly, because it's a dangerous thing in the wrong hands. It's kind of like that warning you get, on the cigarettes. Smoke at your own risk. There is a danger to this. The Attorney General says, the Surgeon General says, there is a danger to smoking. There is a danger to having instant replay, and you don't know how to freaking use it. I'm done, bud.
California State Athletic Commission looked at it and stands by it. And we will see if we get the rematch next. Like we said to open this up, Navarrete struggled to make weight. I don't know by the time this cut heals, if they are to schedule a rematch, can he make the weight still at 130 pounds? But a great fight. I agree with everything you said. To me, it was clearly punched. The one thing before we move on that I want to say is maybe a little luck also for Navarrete, not just with the replay that we're talking about, but the referee bringing him over at the start of that 8th round to the doctor, where the doctor stops the fight. Because his corner wasn't. And the fight was starting to feel, to me, like Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora. Suarez was starting to steal those rounds once the blood started dripping. That goes on for 1-2 more rounds at the rate it was going, in my opinion, and then they go to the scorecards. Navarrete might be behind. I thought his corner should have stopped the fight once it started going the other way.
You know what? That's a good point, bud. He was a little fortuitous. It was a little fortuitous. It was the luck was on his side a little bit. You're right. I mean, I can't argue with the way you just presented it because fighters don't have windshield wipers on their eyes. They don't, Rich. There's no windshield wipe. You know what I mean? That blood starts flowing. I don't want to knock the cut man, but it didn't seem like he really got that under control. Maybe with a little more time, I don't know. But it didn't seem, you have a cut man. I used to use guys like Eddie Ariano and a few others, Ralph Citro, and there was another guy, he was
Gavin.
great, Al Gavin and Nelson. I'm trying to remember his name. There was a few of them. Man, oh man. Those guys, let me tell you, nothing leaked once they got their stuff in there. Little Elmer's glue. Oh, I'm sorry. Whatever they were using. But they stopped the cut. There was
You've
no
closed some
leaks.
many cuts in your day too. Some of the viewers might not be aware of that, but you used to be the cutman and trainer before bringing in a cutman later on, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to do everything at the beginning. I mean, that's the way I was brought up. You got to do everything. So the beginning for the first many years of my career, yeah, I did everything. And then later on, when you're privileged enough to be able to actually pay for a cutman, then you bring a cutman in. But that's part of it. You got a tighter budget, Rich. Early on, fighting in small fights all over the place, all over the country. You got to do everything. You can't be bringing a cutman around, would you? Who's got the money for that, right? I mean, but then as you grow and God willing you're successful, then all of a sudden you can bring in a cutman, and it's good because then you can concentrate just on what you need to concentrate on. But I used to do that, and I had some fighters that cut a lot. Some of them we won't get into it or nothing, but some of them cut a little bit early in my career. They would say that during the national anthem they start to bleed.
Well, we will see what is next, and hopefully that cut heals up sooner than later, and we get the rematch for that one because that was a great, entertaining fight. And Suarez, like you said, he deserves the rematch. So that's it for this week's boxing action. It was a good breakdown and recaps of those fights. Before closing out, we are going to talk about the big one, UFC 315 from Montreal, Canada. Belal Muhammad put his belt on the line versus Della Maddalena. Before we get into that one, just want to touch on the co-features. We won't break it down and spend too much time on all of them, but we got to talk about two of the legends in the sport, which were on the undercard, Jose Aldo and Valentina Shevchenko. Aldo fought a tough fight versus a guy from Canada in his home country, Ayman Zahabi. And it was I thought it was 1-1 going into the final round. In the end, great action, unbelievable finish to the fight. Aldo comes up short. He announced after the fight this is probably it for him. It seems like this is going to be, again, the end of his historic career. And what a legend. He goes out not on the win that we were hoping for and he was hoping for, but shows all his heart, all his courage, and just another tremendous performance by him. And then that was followed up by Valentina Shevchenko, 37 years old now. She defends her title versus Farot, and not the most action in that fight, but she does what winners do. She finds a way to win. She just always figures it out, and her striking and her composure, and she did it again, so congratulations to her. So I just wanted to touch on those two legends of the sport, bud, and give you a chance to just comment on them before we get into the main event.
Now you said it all, but there's really nothing needed to be added to that. They're both, listen, Shevchenko, she continues, her legend continues to grow, and the final story will be written sometime in the future. She's 37 years old, but she's already written a part of the book and a part of the story that she is great, and she will be in the annals of greatness with the UFC, with MMA. Period. She'll go down as one of the greatest of all time. And Aldo, the same thing. Aldo, his career ends now, and he's done nothing but bring just great fights, great action, and great lessons. As I talk about all the time, great lessons to all the fans out there. Whether you're an MMA fan or a boxing fan or just a fan of winners, he has always known how to behave like a champion, not just fight like a champion. He has taught everybody what it is to behave like a champion. That it's it's not just about how you fight, but it's about how you act. And whenever the time was to act a certain way as a champion, he never failed. He never failed. And it's just, again, I think these great champions like him, all of them, I think that they've been great teachers, great motivators to all of us in their own way, to motivate us in the way they've motivated us individually, but just great teachers of that. If you're determined enough, if you prepare yourself enough, if you believe enough, if you work hard enough, no matter where you come from, no matter how big or small you are, no matter what you didn't have when you were younger or even older, no matter how life sometimes didn't really smile on you in a way that you wished it had smiled on you, the way you looked across the street and you saw it smile maybe on someone else, no matter what, that if you just worked hard on one given night, if you believed enough, you could get in that ring or in that cage and you could make life fair. You could make life fair by having your hand raised and called champion. That's what all these great ones, and that's what Aldo teaches us and gives us hope towards, no matter what our fight is. No matter what our fight is, gives us hope towards that. On one given night, you can be the champion. You can make life fair. Good luck to Aldo. Continue to Shevchenko. And I love the job. I'll finish with this. I love the job that those commentators do. I tell you, we have some good ones in boxing, but sometimes not quite up to par what you get with the UFC, because you're getting ones that really know, that have done it, that have been there, and that really know how to explain it in an accurate way. Not just a way that they're just saying something because they read about it or they wrote about it, but that they actually lived it. And Dominic Cruz and that whole crew, DC, Anik, I mean, all of them, after the fight, with Anthony Smith and with just every single one of them, whether it's Bisbang, whoever, they do a good job.
Yeah, they do a great job. I really enjoyed the commentary with Dominic Cruz added for that pay-per-view one. And you did a great job. Those very nice words, well said for those two legends of the sport. And talking about champions, let's get into the main event, the welterweight championship fight. Belal Muhammad versus Della Maddalena. What a fight. This fight was awesome. Great action. I was very impressed with Jack's striking, right? They kept talking about his head movement, but just how sharp he was. The striking, how versed, how composed he was, his takedown defense, and the heart, the determination, the grit, the non-stop from Belal. I mean, what an incredible final round. I thought that's what it came down to. Going into the fifth, who wins this round wins the fight, although Jack did seem like he was a little bit more in control for the most part. We get a phenomenal finish in the end. We have a new champion by unanimous decision. I was a little surprised by the 49-46, but I thought the right guy got it. What'd you think of this fight? What'd you think of the decision?
I thought you set it up just, well, hopefully, I know how to play T-ball, right? I could just hit it off to, Rich. He sets it up. I don't have to go searching for the ball. Just hit it off the damn stand. That's all I'm supposed to do. And I think the decision was right. I thought, especially in that last round, I just thought Maddalena landed the more damaging punches, the bigger punches, the punches that not only got your attention, got Muhammad's attention, and are just more impactful. That's a big part of it. I thought it was a great fight. I didn't agree with that one judge that had it that far apart. I thought it was tighter. I get it. There's certain rounds where even if it's tight, you could slant it towards somebody for something and you wind up getting a score like that. But at the end of the day, I thought they got it right. Jack, the Maddalena, he's taller, he's longer. I always talk about geography. who uses the geography in the cage, the ring, whatever, that makes the most sense for their talents, where their talents can be used, to the utmost. And I thought for the most part, not the whole fight, but for the most part, the Maddalena did a good job with that. Also, I think, I don't know if this did show, but 8-year difference. 8-year difference. Muhammad is 36. Maddalena is 28. The younger guy did win the last round. Did youth raise its head a little bit in that last round? A little bit? 36 versus 28? Maybe. Maybe not. At the end of the day, I'll tell you who kept their heads up, both of them. Proud. Muhammad as the champion, not wanting to relinquish that. I thought it was very interesting, very strategic in a brutal fight. Very strategic. I mean, Muhammad had to close the gap. And I saw him close the gap. He brought his legs with him. He did it with the jab. He closed the gap, and he was able to strike and score with right hands. He was able to score. There were spots where he was really the guy with the edge. I don't think it should be an argument on striking was the Maddalena. And I don't think that should have been a shot going in. He was the guy who was just more verse at striking, especially striking on the outside and using his length and his height for the most part pretty damn well. And that was an advantage for him. And he used it enough. He used it enough to give him an edge in a tight fight. But Muhammad did what he had to do. He closed the gap. He brought his legs. He got a little closer, and he was effective in his strike. There were two striking games, the long-distance striking game and the tighter striking game, the striking game that starts to get into the close quarters with straight punches, accurate punches. But by being in the geography you need to be to get to able to have success with a longer guy. Muhammad had to do that. He did it. I appreciate, as a boxing guy, I appreciated the moments that he did that. What it took to do that. A calmness, a cerebralness to know that he had to do that, and a technique to do it properly. But on the larger hand, Di Maddalena was able to control the geography on the outside. They gave him a little edge. They mixed it up really well. And I think this was another one of those fights that makes you, I don't know if it makes you scratch your head, but it makes you think nothing is automatic in life or in MMA or UFC or anything. And what do I mean? You can't assume anything. A lot of people would assume that Muhammad would look to take him to the floor most of the fight. But I was talking to Zone before the fight, and I said, these guys are so proud. First of all, Muhammad's striking game is not bad. It's Muhammad's striking game is better than maybe a lot of people thought going in, because they were all thinking about the striking game of Maddalena, which is pretty damn good. But I felt that one guy was saying it's going to be on the mat. Muhammad's going to be on the mat. He's going to be looking to take him to the floor. And I was like, you know what? You probably know more about it than me from that standpoint. But my feeling is that Muhammad's going to strike with him. These guys are so proud. It's almost like they don't want to make a concession. As surprising as it might be, that Muhammad would look to strike more than you would think his advantages, his natural advantages, would tend him to want to strike. Because if you went just by the advantages he has physically and, of course, as far as his talent, it's to go to the floor. But these guys, I noticed that a lot of these guys, they have so much pride that it's almost like they don't want to make a concession that, I had to take you to my strength. I'll beat you at your strength. Like, I'll be, and he's a good striker anyway, Muhammad. Don't get me wrong. But to me, it's almost, I've seen it with them. I seen it a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what fight it was, but in an UFC fight, where, again, you would think the guy has the edge on the floor, and he goes and fights the other guy's fight, if you will, and fights his strengths, if you will, and strikes, and a lot of times wins. And I just thought that Muhammad, again, whether it's pride, whether it's just that he believes in his striking, obviously, but that he went to the other guy's game more than some people might have expected him to do, and didn't go for the takedowns quite as much. Now, part of the credit is Maddalena, is that Maddalena was good with his takedown defense. He was really good. His takedown defense was top-notch. And finally, Muhammad, I think it was the fourth round, he finally got a takedown. But I just didn't see the strategy. And look, a lot of that has to do with Maddalena fighting the kind of fight that didn't allow him to feel comfortable getting the takedowns because he controlled range and his takedown defense was that good. At the end of the day, I thought the big part of the fight was Muhammad was kind of forced and chose, if there's such a thing, that he was forced and also chose on his own to fight Maddalena's fight with the striking. And I thought when he got close, he did a damn good job. But I thought the edge was to Maddalena. I thought, again, to what you said, the last round kind of cemented it. He just landed the bigger, more damaging punches to take the belt from Muhammad. It was a good fight. It was just an exciting fight. And with all the explosive parts to it, with the knees, with the kicks, they mixed it up really well. I thought the strategy shouldn't be missed. How definitive the strategy and how at play the strategy of both guys was involved in this fight.
Yeah. No, it's a great breakdown for a great fight. I think what you touched on earlier, too, was a big difference. The 8-year age difference. Muhammad got him on the ground in that final round. And I thought, wow, this might be it. He's got control. He's still got 3 minutes left in the round. Maybe it's the difference, like you said, the 8 years in age. He doesn't stay on the ground. He gets right back up to his feet, and then he turned the tide. Tremendous fight, though, like you said. Tremendous chin by Belal Muhammad, besides his heart and determination. And congratulations to the new welterweight champion. So that was a great breakdown.
Don't forget, when you say that he got him on the floor, maybe it was age, which I did bring into the conversation here. But don't forget that, give credit to Maddalena for being prepared with his defense of the takedown so well where he could get out of it. He did give him credit for that too. Maybe it was a little slippage. Maybe it was Muhammad being 36 and his gas tank going a little bit towards E, a little bit. I think both guys were feeling that. They were both feeling that in this fight as it went late. No doubt about it. But give credit for Maddalena for being able to survive the takedowns and get out of the takedowns. He was well prepared. We knew that he was going to win the fight with his striking, I think. Right? But he also could have lost the fight by not being buttoned up with his takedown defense. And he made sure he wasn't going to lose the fight that way. I think he kind of went in there saying, I get my way striking for the most. I win. But what I got to make sure is that he doesn't get to be in his strength, in his wheelhouse, on the floor where I can't deal with it, get out of it. And he was prepared to get out of it and to deal with it. It was, again, I just have to say it. I'm a trainer. I can't help it. The strategy was also in the air in that cage with me, when I was watching it at least. The strategy was always apparent. Not just the physicality, not just the explosive stuff, not just their great talent.
Yeah, great fight, great breakdown. I hope all the viewers, you guys enjoyed it. That wraps it up for our boxing and UFC talk this week. Actually, tomorrow in Australia, in boxing, we got the cruiserweight champion Jao Battaglia will be fighting. And being back next week for our other fights, historic list. So before we sign off, Bud, any final words for all the viewers?
Yeah. If you get instant replay, know how to use it. God bless everybody.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us.